So then, guys, is this the moment we've been waiting for? Is this the moment that Apple are going to step fully into the gaming world now? Well, it's quite possible with what's coming up at the Scary Fast event. Now, at the Scary Fast event, we've actually heard a few new leaks and rumors come in again in the last sort of 24 hours. Let me just quickly talk about them. Now, one of them that's come in has come from Mark Gurman. And Mark has actually said this time round he doesn't actually believe we're actually going to see an M3 MacBook Pro. And to be honest, that's a bit upsetting and a bit disappointing that that is not coming. But there again, if it is the Touch Bar MacBook Pro, who's actually going to go buy it? Nobody actually really is interested in that machine. I know some of you guys are, but generally speaking, it's old hat. None of you are really that interested. And if you are, what you end up buying is one of these. It's a MacBook Air instead, because obviously it's a far better design and it's far nicer, lighter, etc., all the rest of it. So it might not actually happen now, according to Mark, that we're not going to see an actual M3 MacBook Pro. But one thing that he is very sure about, what we will see, is that we will still see an iMac with an M3 inside it, and we may also see the M3 Pro. But then at the same time, that M3 Pro may be put in the likes of this machine here, what is a MacBook Pro 14 and 16 inch, and also the M3 Max. But the one thing what's really going to make it special this time with that M3 is I believe it's going to do with actual gaming. Now, hear me out here on loads of these different sort of theories here. Over the last sort of 6 months or so, we have seen loads of things changing with Apple to do with gaming. Let's start with WWDC. So they actually invented kind of a sandpit, WWDC, for Macs, where we could actually do more sort of gaming testing and sort of running Intel games just out of the box, as it were. Obviously, it doesn't work perfectly, but it shows developers that they can just move their code over really easily. The only one problem that comes along with that is that the actual M2 Pro and the M2 Max, and even so the M1 Max and the M1 Pro, they're not fully designed for gaming. Don't get me wrong, you can game on them if games are optimized for it, but it's just not that easy to do. And I think Apple here are sort of crafting their way into more of that gaming sort of market. And I think the first clue there was at WWDC earlier this year, where they said they're going to bring out those development kind of tools and that they're coming available. The second clue was only about a month ago, and it's to do with this phone right here, and also its slightly smaller brother. And that is the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the iPhone 15 Pro have the A17 Pro chipset, and the biggest part of it was the GPU. They mainly talked about the GPU and that ray tracing was coming available on these phones, and that you could play console sort of type games on them, and also at that same sort of quality and also gaming sort of ways about it. And as we know that the A chipset, the M chipsets that we get, it's actually based on the A chipsets. So with this A17 Pro, it's more than likely that the M3 Pro and the M3 Max and even the M3, to be fair, is going to be based off the chip that we have inside here. So those ray tracing abilities and also having those extra GPU cores coming inside the M3 Pro and the M3 Max is really going to change things up here. And in fact, we've actually heard here of what kind of the cores we're going to see. With the sort of M3 Pro, we could actually get anywhere between 18 to 20 GPU cores inside of it, and then with the M3 Max, anywhere between 38 to 40 GPU cores, and that is quite a lot of cores and quite special, to be honest. Obviously, dedicated graphics cards, they work very differently with their sort of CUDA cores and all of these sort of bits and pieces. I'm not going to go into the details about that, but it's really exciting times that obviously the cores are being upped, as you can see right here, and then at the same time as well, all of these sort of new developments at WWDC, ray tracing here, even on iPhone, that quality you're getting, it does look like Apple are really pushing towards the gaming sort of world, and it could be happening here at this new Scary Fast event. Something else what makes this scary event quite special is like the likes of Resident Evil coming out, say, for the iPhone. Maybe this is kind of the way that they're trying to word it or sort of advertise this. It's scary, Resident Evil, it's not the most funnest of games, and that is a happy game. It's quite a scary game. So maybe they're going to plug that in too. But also, here is the big one. Could they be partnering up, Apple, with another big gaming studio to actually sort of bring out games and help along their way into the gaming market. And the company that I'm actually thinking of is a certain Japanese company, and for them they actually have a swordsman and they also have another character who is an Italian plumber, and that is Nintendo. Now, in the past, Apple actually have worked with Nintendo. We actually have some Nintendo games on here, like Super Mario Run. We've also got Mario Kart 2. But the other cool thing is, last time that the first kind of main partnership happened with Nintendo, what Apple could be doing is they could be working with Nintendo, and the potential is that Nintendo, obviously, we are due a Switch 2 console now, or, you know, the next generation of Nintendo's console, and they are looking for a mobile kind of chipset, and who better to go with than Apple, especially with their efficiencies, with their chipsets, and also pushing their chipsets to the next sort of generation. Maybe a partnership between Nintendo and Apple is happening here. Like I said, I'm just theorizing here, but something else, what I also thought of, what I saw in another video recently, was from John Prosser. John actually said that the actual Apple event is happening later on in the day compared to other events. And I noticed this too, that it's actually happening at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And Pacific time 5 p.m, well, you know, that's a kind of a time that Japan is also awake too. And I was actually thinking exactly the same as John here, that maybe it's been done on purpose and we're not getting a 10 a.m. sort of review here, or kind of a session here, or an event. Maybe it's been done on purpose because they know that this is when Japan's awake, and they also maybe bring them in to talk to them about their sort of partnership with developers over there in Nintendo and maybe other partners too. But as I conclude here, guys, it does seem like that the M3 has got a little bit more exciting than we initially thought. And just to summarize here, I believe at this event we will see an M3 iMac. We may even see an M3 Pro iMac on the 24-inch model. I don't expect new designs or anything like that. Probably we might get USB-C cables, as what we saw mentioned, and also that the keyboard and the mouse might get changed to USB-C 2, what will be really, really good because it does need to be upgraded from Lightning. But I also believe that we'll just see the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros with the M3 Pro and the M3 Max inside it. And the likes of, say, the MacBook Air, like I have right here, it won't get upgraded this time round. And I think, like I have said before, just like the iPhones, maybe what happened with the MacBook Air is that it will have to wait, you know, until time passes a little bit to get that upgrade. So the sort of best sort of phones like this one here gets the best chipset inside it, and a year later that chipset then comes down. And I believe this is what Apple's strategy is to do with a MacBook Air, because like I said, with the 13-inch MacBook Pro, there's no point buying it because you can buy the Air instead. And maybe this is Apple's new plan to replicate what they've done with the iPhone over to the MacBook series too. But like I said, guys, these are all theories. I am not saying I am correct here. I am not saying this is what's going to happen. This is just a working theory. It'd be awesome if it does happen. If it doesn't happen, oh well, it's just one of those things. But one thing I am quite sure of, that Apple is definitely looking towards the sort of gaming market here, and there's going to be a bigger focus, if it's not at this event, over the next year or so, especially with Vision Pro coming out too. And with that, guys, I would love to know your thoughts too on this, so please do write them down in the comments below. And also, it's time to wrap up this video, so if you have enjoyed watching it, please do press the like button. And also, if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews and comparisons, please also make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell too. Until next time, guys, I will see you really soon. Take care. Bye bye.